Welcome to the first public meeting for the South Dakota State Highway 11 or Split Rock Boulevard Corridor Study. This presentation will discuss the south segment of the study corridor. This south segment of the project corridor begins at the intersection of Highway 11 with the intersection of South Sioux Boulevard, shown on the right side of the aerial photo. It continues south to the intersection with Highway 42, located on the left side of the aerial photo, for a distance of 3.2 miles. Stop sign control is provided for the intersecting cross streets, while traffic on Highway 11 does not stop. The speed limit for this segment is posted at 55 miles per hour. Other major intersections on this segment of Highway 11 include Madison Street, 264th, 265th, and 266th Streets. Through most of this section of Highway 11, a two-lane rural section is provided, consisting of one 12-foot lane in each direction with 8-foot surfaced shoulders. Separate left turn lanes are provided at several intersections along this segment of Highway 11. These intersections include East Madison Street, where a southbound right turn lane is also provided, 265th Street, where a northbound separate right turn lane is also provided, and at Highway 42. Traffic counts were conducted at key intersections along the corridor in April of 2021. This information was used to evaluate existing traffic operations at key intersections on Highway 11. Traffic operations are measured by the levels of service on roadway segments and at intersections. Levels of service are described by a letter designation of A through F, with level of service A representing essentially uninterrupted flow, and level of service F representing a breakdown of traffic flow with noticeable congestion and delay. The average daily traffic volume on this segment of Highway 11 is 7,100 vehicles per day north of East Madison Street, resulting in a level of service C during the morning peak period and level of service B during the afternoon peak period, indicating light to moderate congestion. South of East Madison Street, the volumes dropped to between 4,000 and 4,200 vehicles per day, resulting in level of service A during the morning and afternoon peak periods. The peak periods for traffic volumes along this section were observed to be from 7:15 to 8:15 in the morning and 4:45 to 5:45 in the afternoon. At the intersection with East Madison Street, level of service A is provided on the highway for both peak periods, and level of service C is provided on the East Madison Street approach, indicating moderate levels of delay. At the intersection with 264th Street, level of service A is provided on the highway for both peak periods, and level of service B is provided on the 264th Street approach. At the intersection with 265th Street, level of service A is provided on the highway for both peak periods, and level of service A or B is provided on the 265th Street approaches. At the intersection with 266th Street, level of service A is provided on the highway for both peak periods, and level of service B is provided on the 266th Street approaches. At the intersection with Highway 42, stop sign control is provided for the northbound and southbound approaches. Traffic on Highway 42 does not stop. For the northbound and southbound movements, level of service C is provided for the through and left turn movements during the morning peak period, and level of service D is provided for the afternoon peak period. Level of service A is provided on Highway 42 for both peak periods. The crash history for the last 5 years was collected and analyzed to identify what types of crashes occur on this segment of Highway 11. During the period from 2015 through 2019, a total of 73 crashes were recorded. 59% of the crashes during this period were single vehicle crashes. Evaluation of the crash events shows that most of the crashes along this segment of the highway are related to wild animal collisions. 11% of the crashes were rear-end crashes, and 27% were angle crashes, which occur when vehicles cross, enter, or leave the highway. 81% of the total crashes resulted in no injuries to the driver or passengers. Anticipated traffic volumes for the year 2050 were developed to evaluate traffic operations along the corridor if no improvements were made to the roadway configuration or traffic control. The average daily traffic volumes on Highway 11 are anticipated to grow to 12,400 vehicles per day north of East Madison Street, 8,200 vehicles per day between 264th and 266th Street, and 10,200 vehicles per day south of 266th Street. With the volumes forecast, light to moderate congestion would be expected on this segment of Highway 11 by the year 2050. At the intersection with East Madison Street, traffic operations on the highway are still anticipated to operate at acceptable levels of service, providing level of service A for the northbound and southbound highway movements. For the East Madison Street approach to the highway, level of service F is anticipated with the current lane configuration and stop sign control, indicating significant delay and congestion during all of the peak periods. At the intersection with 264th Street, traffic operations on the highway are still anticipated to operate at acceptable levels of service, providing level of service A for the northbound and southbound highway movements. For the 264th Street approaches to the highway, level of service B is anticipated for the morning peak period with the current lane configuration and stop sign control, and level of service C is anticipated during the afternoon peak period. At the intersection with 265th Street, traffic operations on the highway are still anticipated to operate at acceptable levels of service, providing level of service A for the northbound and southbound highway movements. For the 265th Street approaches to the highway, level of service C is anticipated for the morning and afternoon peak periods with the current lane configuration and stop sign control. At the intersection with 266th Street, traffic operations on the highway are still anticipated to operate at acceptable levels of service, providing level of service A for the northbound and southbound highway movements. For the 266th Street approaches to the highway, level of service B is anticipated for the morning and afternoon peak periods with the current lane configuration and stop sign control. At the intersection with Highway 42, for the northbound and southbound movements, level of service F is anticipated for both the morning and afternoon peak periods under the current lane configuration and traffic control. For the Highway 42 approaches, level of service A or B is anticipated for both peak periods. A user survey has been developed to provide information to the study team with regard to conditions or observations from people that drive the corridor on a regular basis. The link to access the survey is provided on the project website, which can be found at www.SD11corridorstudy.com. This user survey will be open to the public for the entire 30-day period of this virtual public meeting, which will continue through July 2nd. There are two parts to the survey. The first part allows you to identify issues or concerns on the corridor directly on a map. The second part is a short user survey to share your thoughts on improvements you would like to see on the corridor. We are interested to learn if there are any safety concerns, roadway conditions, or other travel problems that you have observed on this segment of Highway 11, also known as Split Rock Boulevard in Brandon. What improvements do you think are the most needed on the study corridor? Are there other transportation-related issues you would like to mention, including issues like pedestrian and bicycle facilities or access to businesses and homes along the study corridor? In addition to the user survey, you can leave comments and ask questions on the Get Involved page on the project website. You can provide project feedback through this page on the website or simply sign up for email updates. Thank you for viewing this presentation of the South Dakota 11 Corridor Study. To view the presentation video for a specific highway segment, please click on the appropriate link to navigate to the segment of interest.